All right, guys, we are live for the first time in 2022. So, welcome everybody to the Half 100 live stream show.
I hate this year already.
I already do too. So, Sean, Gavin, thank you for joining me again, guys. I hope everybody has enjoyed their holidays from over the weekend. You didn't party too hard. I think Thursday, Friday, whatever. I'm already there at this point with it. As well as just kind of we're here, guys. We kind of reached the end of the college football season for us specifically. So
thank God.
That being said, like let's delve right into it. This is going to be Alamo Bowl slash like OU recap. Like I have like an entire kind of timeline just kind of going through everything, and there's some stuff I'm like, I can't believe that was only 5 months ago. Like this is insanity from it. So I guess the best way to start off this,
we're going over everything. Do we have to?
No. I have some highlight stuff that I have.
I don't have the energy to go through everything. I really don't.
No. This will be kind of stuff where I think it's just important to mention and kind of stuff from there. So, but that all being said with it, what's up, Biggie? Happy New Year, buddy. Glad you could join in tonight. Biggie. I guess, Sean, I want to start with you. I guess what would be the word to describe the season to you in a nutshell? Because we had expectations where we were saying it was playoff or bust, and it was a bust. We did not make it there, but then again, our coach was one step out the door at this point to go somewhere else. In my opinion, the word is whiplash. There were so many highs, but also so many lows, but they were so within almost a couple hours of each other. I just don't know how else to describe. I don't think disappointment or roller coaster is a strong enough word. So, what word would you use to describe the season? Delvin, right in.
I don't know. A word. There isn't a word. It's vertigo. I don't know. I got nothing.
What about the season overall to you? Like, are you kind of in agreement? Like, we did not reach our expectations with it.
Of course, we didn't reach our expectations. We thought we were going to win it. We thought we were going to go to the playoff at the very least. Yeah. We thought we expected to go in this year as a carryover to next year. And this is why I always everyone's like, this is a launching point to next year. It's like, I hate that crap because that's what we thought last year. And everyone wants to point to bowl games or whatever. It's like, this is a launching point. It's like, no, it's not. Like, do not put stock into bowl game performances. This is for everybody. This is not just an OU thing. So, remember what Texas in the Alamo Bowl last year? Oh my God, look how they beat down and under. We did the same thing to Oregon that Texas did to Colorado. I'm not saying we're going 5-7 next year. That's not what I'm indicating. What just irritates me about the whole thing is that people put all this stock into bowl performances that are not the playoff. Because there are 3 games that matter: the semis and the championship. I'm sorry if that hurts feelings, but that's the truth. Now,
but the Alamo Bowl of the bowls.
But the Alamo Bowl was a feel-good moment. I'm not trying to take that away. That's a whole different topic and a whole different mindset. But that team as a whole is going to look a lot different next year, especially with the quarterback situation, depending on how that turns out. Having said all of that, it's just, this season overall was just, it was constantly, I felt like I wanted to jam an ice pick in my retina every week. Just take an ice pick and jam it in my eye socket, because we were very rarely allowed to enjoy the season as a whole. There was always just constant infighting. There was constant just trying to figure out what was off about this team, what was going on with the program, why is everything so off balance. We're winning games, but how are we going? How are we just we're like the walking wounded. We're trying to get through this thing little by little, and it appeared at times like maybe we're just gonna claw and scrape our way through every single game, and it's like, because at some point maybe that's how it's gonna happen, and of course it didn't. But and then just when you think you had a rough, you just come up a little short, then as you're trying to get like helped up, like you get stabbed in the back, and you're left for dead. So,
it fits with your theme of horror movies this year.
I mean, I guess it's just the season in general. It's just it's. I thought the 2006 season was like the worst quarter. You know, we complain about 11-win seasons. I always go back to 2006. It's like, this is the worst 11-win season ever. No, it's this one. It's like this is the new champ. I kill to have 11 wins this year. I'm sure a lot of teams would, but you know,
the only thing that's better about this 11-win season, at least we were able to beat Oregon without any controversy. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh, I'm just so tired of the Oregon thing. It's just,
Sean, I want to pause you for a second because I have a surprise for you, Sean. Because guess who is joining us tonight? Nick, my buddy, you have joined us tonight.
Oh my god! I saw him. I saw him like the post, and I'm like, is he gonna watch this thing? And it's like, I'm in a cranky mood, Nick. So bear with me. Just bear with me. It's been a minute since we've actually spoken.
I know, right? Maybe only just a few years.
Like when do we actually like even online like this like speak? Because we only met in person once, and that was briefly after we were really sad after the 2009 Texas game. It was like, oh, this is sad. We're all sad now.
Oh, all right. We should not speak of that. Like, not at all. I eagerly, well, no, not eagerly. I not so eagerly recall having to put up the horns and sing "The Eyes of Texas" at the bottom of Big Tex. And,
that's still floating out there on the internet somewhere. If you can know where to look for it, I'm not going to tell you where, but like it's out there.
Oh yeah, I tell people where it's at.
It's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely not. That does not deserve to be spoken of at all.
Ever.
Again. I mean, it's a gateway gesture, as far as I'm concerned. And you know, we actually sang kind of, you know, not retroactively, we could be canceled because we kind of sang a racist song, Nick. You know that.
Oh yeah, at the time, there was.
We could be retroactively be canceled.
That's true. That never happened, guys. Absolutely never ever happened.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. Sean, I tried to get Joe on tonight as well for everybody to be on, but he was busy tonight. So you got Nick tonight. So Nick, how are you today, buddy?
You're gonna have to settle for me.
There is no settling, Nick. You're one of the best. How are you, buddy? How's everything been? How are you feeling from this season?
Oh man, well, I think a lot of us didn't expect anything that this season brought to us. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of conflicting feelings about this season.
That's the truth. That's kind of where we started with. If you could have one word to describe the season, what would that be? Sean kind of just went into we didn't reach our expectations. This was kind of a letdown season. It's the worst.
There are a lot of words that describe this year, and it's like, you want me to do one word? Like there are words that are not appropriate for certain people. I don't want to get Nick retroactively. I don't want him to get fired for me saying some controversial. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Nick Lawton? Going back to your YouTube days.
I guess my word would be turmoil.
Yeah.
That's an excellent word. Turmoil 100%. I would say, in regards to this season, I would just say what?
Yeah.
Well, we're not used to being. We're not used to being. Treated like a mid-tier program, like a certain someone treated us, and so I was like, what are you all acting like? It's like, dude, we're Oklahoma. If you, as a head coach, you're either fired or you take an NFL job. You don't leave here. You don't leave here just willingly. That doesn't happen. So excuse us if we're a little weirded out by this.
It's never been done in the history. Like when you really break it down, there has never been a time where a coach from a blue blood has gone to another school of a blue blood status by their own choice. It's never happened.
And arguably it's a downgrade.
Yeah, it really is. I'm just happy Kane decided, he's like, no, I'm going to LSU, guys. Peace out. No, none of that.
Oh, that was great. Like now, I'm actually not 100% thrilled with that because Kane's a hell of a recruiter, and like, God, of course, LSU gets a great recruiter added to their staff, and they're gonna be thrilled with him. But I do love the fact he's like, yeah, I'm not going to SC. He probably looked at his salary and then looked at like how much it costs to live out in LA and went, I'm going to choose this other LA, Louisiana. Is it that cheap? I've been to LA a couple times. When I'm paying double digits for a double digits for like a chocolate, a chocolate shake at like the farmer's market downtown, I'm like, I live in Orlando. I got Disney World prices. So me, it's like, oh, you go to Disney World and pay extravagant prices for food. That's just LA everywhere, apparently.
Yeah.
$12 for meat on a stick. Oh God.
It's just like the fairgrounds. Got to pay those fairground prices. Exactly.
Well, no, you got to get your coupons.
Gotta get coupons.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then hopefully you can use all the coupons.
We don't take money. We don't take money. We don't take money here. We take coupons.
Get their food.
See that big line over there?
That's why you get there early.
I was literally just thinking of that bit.
I picked up Joe and like his family for like it was for a 2:30 kick. It was the 2010 game. I was like, we should get there early. It's like, no. It's just like, you don't understand. We got to get there early. I know it's a 2:30 kick, but we need to get there like in the morning. I was like, no. I was like, we're not going to be able to get fare coupons. I'm just telling you right now. And so sure enough, we get there like a little over 2 hours before kick. Coupon lines are out the back. Is like, nope. Joe had to lend me money to get food at like the concessions at the Cotton Bowl. It's like, dude, I got nothing. I'll pay it back. You have to lend me a few bucks. It's like, I can't get coupons.
Oh God!
You made a poor life choice, Joe.
I was like, we really, really should get there early. I was really emphasizing before the sun comes up.
Or right when the sun touches the horizon, like that's when you need to get there at this point. And even then, it might be too late for your party.
Oh yeah.
So Nick, I'm going to kind of go around. So you gave us your word of how you described the season. What do you think was the absolute high and the absolute low of the season? The low is probably Tebow leaving. Like I think that's the low for everybody at this point. But what was the high? Was it a game? Anything during the offseason? What is something that really stuck out to you?
Well, honestly, I really thought the high of the season was for all the indigestion it gave us was the Texas game, because it started out in literally the worst possible way you could have ever imagined it. We've all seen this song and dance before. So many OU teams of the past, when they get punched in the mouth, they would have just lied there. But I was really proud of the team for pulling it out at the end. I was really excited about Caleb Williams. And of course, everyone loves the fact that you could say the Texas Longhorns blew their lead and then we took it away from them. We made them feel like they were about to have nice things, and then we took the rug out from under them. So that was very nice. But the low point was definitely Tebow leaving, but it was like it was built up. When you consider everything this team had going for it, all of its assets, all of its weapons, everything it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then when you consider the performance against Baylor, the performance against Oklahoma State, and then Tebow drives the dagger in. And we didn't even have time to fully process Bedlam.
Yeah. That was within about a 14-hour span. Yeah.
I mean, the man was wearing a USC polo before he even changed his Twitter handle. Like,
still had his OU Jordans on.
Yes, I mean
Our ex still had the ring on. Not cool, Tebow. Not cool. So
this is like Jake Gyllenhaal keeping Taylor Swift's sweater.
What was really funny when he was asked about it, he said it was like a really difficult decision, blah blah blah. This, and then just on game day, like yesterday, he's like they had him on. He's like, oh, it wasn't a difficult decision at all. I'm like, I want to murder this son of a bitch. I hate him so much. It's just like the people on the outside, like the cowherds of the world, who just can't understand. He's just like, oh, people do this all. It's like, no, they don't. It's like if he had taken another job, like if he went to the league, or even if he took another college job, regardless, he still not only left in the middle of the night, he tried to burn the bitch down on his way out because he gutted our 23 class. He cost us our top 2 recruits for 22 indirectly. He took one of them. Raleek Brown hurt my feelings. That one really hurt my feelings. Gabe Dindy just about as much, if not more, because the worst part is we probably could have kept Gabe and we kept Thibodeau, but we're not keeping Thibodeau. We're probably getting Todd Bates now. That's what's being reported now. Todd Bates is starting to, like, it was Todd Bates. Now it's not Todd Bates. Now it is Todd Bates again. Like, it might be tomorrow. It might be Todd Bates for real. Like, we might hear something. So
wait, but is it Todd Bates?
Yes, I actually it is now leaning seriously towards Todd Bates. So I'm actually serious. Like we might actually hear something tomorrow that it's Todd Bates. So and Brent said he wouldn't poach anybody else from anyway. Please poach. Just do it, Brent. Don't feel bad about it. Jesus will forgive you.
You're exactly right. Something you said a little bit ago, like, that's exactly right. You don't do this to Oklahoma. You don't do this at Oklahoma, because the last time we fired a head coach was the blasphemous decade of the 90s, with which we will not speak about.
Sean Blake. I think of all the 90s coaches, I think Gary Gibbs is the only one still with us. Everyone else is like John Blake passed away and Howard Schnellberger passed away. So I think Gibbs is the only one still around. So
I still remember back in the old year of 1995, I was watching Nebraska kick the ever-loving crap out of Oklahoma State, and then they put up a graphic of all the new Big 12 coaches and Howard Schnellenberger at OU, and they circled him and said, "Oh, put this in writing right now. In 2 years, Schnellenberger's going to have them in the Natty." And I'm like, and now when you look back, go,
See, like Miami fans can love him all they want, and rightfully so. Man, like, just no, that he is.
That's one of those. That was our drinking moments for the year with Schnellenberger hire. It just happens. Let's just be grateful that Sooner Vision, everybody there was like, you all need to get rid of the archives. No, we're good.
I was in middle school and Oklahoma games were barely on, but like that Colorado game was on ESPN. That was a big deal. Like that was like, because the first half of that year, it was like was building up. It was like, oh, this is the big, because Colorado took our spot in the Big 8 as like with Nebraska as like seriously, the Colorado kind of took our spot, and that was a big deal. It's like, okay, here we go. And then first half was okay. All right, we're competitive, and then we just like threw up all of ourselves.
That sounds about right.
In the second half, like, okay,
I was about at the ripe old age of 5 watching Power Rangers. So my little memory of the OU time is very, very light. Yeah. They were around. I remember my dad watching but that's kind of the extent.
I was only 2 years old, and I didn't really get into OU football until I was about like 6 or 7 at the time.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah. So going around, Gavin, what was the high? What was the low? And Nick, Sean mentioned it in some previous ones. It seems like that's going to be the universal one. Is the Texas game is kind of the highlight. But that all being said, with the Gavin, what was your high and low of the season with this at this point? Pick anything preseason, during the season, now. Like, what do you got for me?
We beat Tulane.
I would probably say, like, oh man, I think it's weird because it's like if you're want to try and pick a high and low, it's like there were just too many moments. So like, it's like, where do you pick a high and low? Because it's like, this was too much of a roller coaster to where I can really stand. I would say the low would definitely be like when he who shall not be named, decided to leave us and everything, and dealing with all of that. That was, I think, the biggest low after losing 2 out of 3, which we haven't seen that in quite a while. And then basically decide to leave, basically within 16, 17 hours after the game,
If
or
that.
something. Well, if earlier than that, maybe I would say either 6 or 7 hours at that point, because
the Inklings were out with LSU.
Yeah. I mean, look, I will say this. It's if he took an NFL job or anything, I wouldn't be too upset. But how you said, with USC, and all that, I think it was just so weird because look, and like you said, Sean, USC, has been a bit of a downgrade because they haven't been the same since Carroll left or so. It's just a weird deal because it's how it's basically leaving OU and all that and everything because it's it's somewhat usually very unheard of because because if you look at through the history, a lot of them stay in for a long period of time within the program, other than the 90s though. But if you kind of look at the history of it, that's kind of what's interesting because a lot of it are mostly long-standing program guys.
Right. So you're kind of in agreement with Nick for Riley leaving just so suddenly and just kind of the whirlwind of a 24-hour span kind of being the low. What about the high though? What was your high? Was it Texas?
I mean, and I know I'm probably just being a parrot here, but I think the high I would have to agree with Nick. It probably has to be Texas, and I think a lot of it just shows that resiliency, if anything. I think that was what I think was most impressive. But that also, and I'm just saying, looking at it from a season standpoint, after that game, Texas started losing 5-6 games in a row after all that. If I'm not
just
mistaken.
Remember, Gavin, Stoops was back before Texas was back. Just be honest. Just say.
Yeah.
It's not my joke, but it is the truth.
Yeah. Okay, I will say this. If there was another high exceptional moment, and I'm just saying this as a family moment, Bob and Isaac, being on the same. No, I'm sorry, not Isaac. Bob. Well, actually, Isaac, I think, was the grad assistant that was also in there. But Bob, Isaac, and Drake being on the same sideline together. That, I would say, is most considered my favorite high of the season right there. All three of the Stoops kids, 2 Stoops kids and the dad playing in the bowl game together, which is very, solemn to me. Yeah.
Well, it was an epilogue of the Stoops run at this point, where it was, and I mentioned it in my post game, was if you had a chance to come back and do it one more time, would you do it? And Bob has always said it was fun, but he wants to live in the moment. He lived in the moment with this game and really just enjoyed himself. You could see him taking it in while he was playing against Oregon. He was serious, but by the third quarter, he was kind of accepting this is about to end. Got to take in every single moment with it. Sean, what about you? High and low. Is it still kind of the same thing with Texas and Riley? Are you going to get creative on it? What do you got for me?
I've been reading some idiocy that's been going on a certain message board, which will not be named.
That doesn't. Do you know how little that narrows it down?
That's why I said it. So I'll leave it at this. The thing I mentioned earlier, it was posted there by someone of note, and a member of that board decided to go talk or brag about it on a Clemson board, and it was premium info and copied word for word what was said, and then came back to say, I went and told them this, and that wasn't smart. Wasn't smart.
Yikes.
It's one thing to know a name. It's one thing to take info and word for word and take it I don't.
It was
move.
Lost
Bad
Oval thing, yeah.
Kind of, but it's just that was bad. Anyway, I'm gonna copy answers. Texas is the high, and honestly, you know what really is the high moment? All in all reality,
having a winning season.
No, this needs to be said for real. This needs to be said. The whole Texas game will be depending on how the next week or two goes, it might end up just being an isolated thing, and we'll go back and like, this was weird, but I'm glad it happened. The high of the entire year, I believe, was Bob Stoops. When this program was like, when you really break it down, we were in real serious turmoil for about a week.
Yeah.
A week doesn't seem like a long time, but it can feel like a long time when you just got a bullet in the back of your head and you don't know what just happened. But it took me a while to like kind of process. Bob came in, said everything was going to be okay, and it was good to see him. And I still wasn't there yet. And then we got Brent up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's actually a plane, but it has our next head coach on it. Like I was sitting here in this chair, and we're waiting for that plane to get here. I'm watching a very Brady sequel, just losing my mind, waiting for that plane to land. It's like, will you please hurry up? But word leaked out, and you knew something was up when like they had all the cheerleaders and the ponies out there at the airport. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's going to take a long time for us to truly, truly appreciate what Bob Stoops did for the past month. Like, how many people have a guy that's part of your program that is able to do what he did? Not just be like a spokesperson and say all the right things and then go back to Fox Sports and like do his gig. He didn't just do that. He pulled double duty. He went out on the road and talked to recruits and told them like, "Hey, I promise you, we're going to get a coach. It's happening." And I'm pretty sure he already knew. I'm pretty sure he already knew. And it was like it's going to be Brent. Like, and Kobe McKenzie.
And point this out though too, because I even saw some footage, with him on the recruiting trail after Riley left. Where he actually was at watching Luke. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name, and I know I'm live in the area, but like Luke Haas over at Bixby, kind of watching him and trying to be in that reassuring him and everything, because he was also in that 2023 commitment and everything.
Right. He was trying to settle the water and everything.
Right, but getting back to what I was saying. Get back to what I was saying though, is that he did all that, and then I don't think the legend is Josie was in the middle of asking him the question, and Bob just said, "I'll do whatever you need," and he coached save. And you guys know me, maybe Nick sees my Twitter stuff, but like I look at minor bowl games as like, we should just get rid of all of them. And I still feel that way. I'm not gonna change, but but Bob coaching this game and everything was like one of the very, very few novelties, even outside if you're an OU fan. It was like, well, Bob Stoops is coaching again. That's cool. And it was a depleted Oregon team, and they almost got canceled. It came very, very close. It came super close, and people
I was almost having a nightmare in that second half.
And won the game, and and he got the players motivated, and it overall, and then just you go back and you look, and then he gets Brent up there, and literally like one of the coolest things, he literally hands him his visor, and it's just like, you couldn't have asked for like a better kind of like good feel, hug yourself type of moment feeling of everything that's happened. It was like a bittersweet season finale, and you don't know what's going to happen next year. We're still going into a lot of unknowns because Brent is a first-time head coach. He's probably, even at his experience and everything, he's still probably going to make a few mistakes. And some people on the internet are still going to scream at him, and everyone's going to do this or this, say this or that. He's going to have some habits or whatever, and we're all going to hope he get everything. It just goes with the territory. With every head coach has a weakness or a thing that drives you insane. But he's building a staff defensively. I mean, I've done a 180 on Ted Roof. I mean, Ted Roof, my man, the roof is on fire. I have 180 on Ted Roof at this point. Ted Roof is the reason we're going to be great. Exactly.
I remember seeing your tweet about Ted Roof going,
Do we just hire we hired another Mike Stoops? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah, I was gonna say, raise the roof.
I mean, I was at work when my coworkers were like, "Whose roof?" I'm like, "I'm not the person to ask on this. I know why you're asking me, but I am not the person to ask because I don't know." Except
some old woman on Twitter got mad. You just get all your information from Twitter, lady. It's 2021. Yeah, everyone gets all their information for Twitter. Your point.
Yeah,
that's all you do. You don't have any real. You don't have any real inside information. I mean, I got the phone number. I got the phone numbers of at least 3 prominent OU beat writers in my phone. But all right, sure. I can't make a phone call if I desperately want to. It's like, all right, sure. I mean, Nick, you know one of them. But yeah, yeah. So, but it's But yeah, overall, it's just with Brent, with what Bob did, and people leaving him flowers at a statue like he was dead was pretty. I was like, whoa, I ain't gone yet.
That was funny because he said on the radio, Dusty brought it up, and he was like, "Hey, Bob, have you seen the picture? What picture, Dusty?
It's like there's flowers at your statue.
No, somebody go get those. I am not dead."
It is kind of weird that I am still weirded out that living peoples have statues at Oklahoma, but that's how much we love our football. Regardless, but celebrate your peeps while they're alive, man. That's what I say.
Yeah. Sean, I want to add that in for the Bob stuff as well with it because for me, I can only speak for myself, but I think Nick would agree with Bob coming to coach one more time is a special because he's our undergrad coach. You're never going to repeat that. And that's who we kind of fell in love with, growing up for OU football, was Bob Stoops. He's got us to be that.
Well, yeah, and
one. So,
and I think, yeah. And what I was,
I do.
Yeah. What I was going to get at, though, I think that this is kind of the moment where, he now has that Switzer love officially now. Maybe I'm not saying that because what I mean by that is, we love hearing from Barry Switzer. He tells great stories, and it reminds you of when Oklahoma was the top dog, man, the 70s. No one could go. You go toe to toe with OU, you're going to go up against the Selmans and Joe Washington and Billy Sims, and you better bring your A game. You're going to stop that wishbone, God, all those things, and then you got the 80s with the Boz and Jamel Holloway and all that stuff, and Bob's starting. When the day is going to come when Barry leaves us, and it's going to be a very sad day. We're all going to be sad, but we get to see Bob's personality now. Bob gets to be happy,
yeah,
because I remember the whole Bob Stoops era, and Bob was such an angry prick at weekly press conferences. He was so salty sometimes. John Hoover, God bless him, I remember after the 2012 Texas game where he just don't lump me in with you. It's I didn't we were only, people wanted to judge us after 3 games. He just ripped into his question. And it's this is happy-go-lucky nice Bob, because he doesn't have to deal with the day-to-day turmoil of being a head coach. And the reason, one of the reasons Bob got out is because, he was doing it for 16 years. It takes a toll. And number 2, it's Bob was not ready to deal with social media. It was just, he didn't want to do it, and I don't blame him. Social media was not his thing. I totally understood it.
And that's something too. He always said he never wanted to have to be on the sideline. His dad, that has kept with him the entire time. When he tried to read his book, I think he never got to say goodbye. And he was I'm not going to ever be at that point. And good for him for doing that. Yeah, sure, it was rushed a little bit by the time from that 20.
He took an XFL gig, though.
Yeah, but he didn't have to work with recruiting or anything. He just wants to coach, but he doesn't want to do the extra stuff, and that's okay. It's gotten so stressful.
I think he's going to get a call at some point again. Someone's going to give him another shot. I don't know when or if he's going to jump at the chance or anything like that, but I think someone's going to give him a phone call within a year. I think it's going to happen. Whether he says yes,
they just saw him like plug and play. Like they took OU football out, blew on it, plugged Bob back in, boom, Alamo Bowl win.
Look at you with your Nintendo OG references there. you know blowing on the cartridge never worked. It was a myth. It just percolated throughout the United States. You gotta blow on the cartridge. No, that's not what it is. It's gotta push. It didn't
stop us from trying.
Yeah, you had to push it down. Like you know what? Well, I still had my old Nintendo for a while. Like when I had my Genesis. You know what worked? Believe it or not, is like you put it in there. You know the screen's flashing. I took a Sega Genesis cartridge and I stuck it in there to hold it down, and it worked every time. I swear to God, I forced in a little Sega Genesis cartridge on top to hold it down. Worked every time, man. Worked every time.
Putting in Mario, stick a little Sega in there to keep him down.
I put in Contra, and then like here's my copy of Mortal Kombat. It's like boom, good to go.
Why is Scorpion in my Contra game? That's a little suspicious. Why is there Sonic in my Mario? Oh wait, no, that's just normal at this point. So. But it's true.
By the way, I've never. I don't think I've. There's very few outside of Marvel movies. There's very few movies I look forward to. I'm looking forward to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in April. I really am. I'm genuinely looking forward to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It looks
Knuckles.
It looks so stupid, but the good kind of stupid.
It looks fun. I think that's the important part. It looks fun. Sean, you also mentioned though, however, so that was the high. Like, yeah, Texas, Bob. What was truly the low? Like, are you going to roll with the Riley answer as well, or is there kind of another one from that? Because to me, you
want to get me sad and depressed. Where do I begin?
Yes, pick the
sad boy time.
Embrace it.
Do it.
I don't know. I was at my lowest on that Sunday, just like trying to process what was going on. I was like, I was out and about with someone. It's like, are you all right? Like, what happened? Did someone die? It's like, it's hard to explain. It's like, what happened? What is it? And it's like, our head coach left us. She's like, what? You don't understand. It's like, I thought you acted like someone died. It's like, no, it's just, this has never happened to me before. We've never this was a real conversation I had with someone, by the way. It's like, a football coach left? It's like, look, if you're not from where I'm from, like with family initially, it's like, look, I know it sounds stupid, but we've never been dumped before. She's like, I'll take your word for it. It's like, all right, let's not talk about this the rest of the night.
I always laugh with my boss who was like, Josh, you need to tell them to hurry this coach search up because none of the OU fans here have been productive all week at work. Like, we need to hurry up a bit, like just a little bit. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? They're like,
everyone's on Twitter.
They're like, no, like they keep on doing this.
We had Dabo. We had Dabo Sweeney rumors, which were, this is like the Dabo rumors came from, I shit you not, a member of a Discord server I'm in who created an account at a certain website or a certain message board and was posting them, and then they blew up, and that's his claim to fame. And he's like, "Remember when I did this?" Like, that's great. Who cares?
I mean, I couldn't even and you guys know me. I work at a news station. It was just the most important talking point. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. It was the top story, on the news station for nearly the entire week.
COVID ravaging the state. Who cares?
Well,
Oklahoma State beat OU in Bedlam. Don't care.
And then and then the top story was OU losing the head coach, and then Oklahoma State being in the Big 12 championship was so far down in the bottom. I mean, I kid you not.
Yeah.
That was big that was.
Yeah, like that was the big thing in Oklahoma at the time. And I remember I have Oklahoma State fans that I work with, and they're like, why is it whenever something good happens with us, OU has to one up? I'm like, it's not our fault this time. Go blame that guy. It's not our fault.
If anything, that was the only good thing about Tebow leaving, was because the Cowboys tried to do everything they could. They put up the billboards, made shirts saying "Best in Oklahoma." Yeah, sure, okay. You win one. You're like the little brother who never won at Super Smash, and then you win once, and you never let anyone forget about it for the rest of the friggin' year. And the second they did something right, they're immediately upstaged by a bad thing that happened to OU. An objectively bad thing was more newsworthy than the good thing Oklahoma State did.
Yeah. Got to focus
That's
on the
the
negative.
only good thing.
It's like Jan, we know you won the speech contest, but Marcia has a bad hair day. Marcia's
These
having a bad
references
hair
are
day.
on
Jan, this
point.
isn't about you.
Yeah, and it was so weird because I even talked with producers, anchors, and all and all that and everything else too. It was just so weird because of how much importance that was, and especially when you considered OU as the blue blood and everything, of how big that story was, and every station that I've heard from, led that story from there on out. It was probably one of the most craziest.
People were going to ride that story until something happened because they wanted to be the first one to report it. You want to be that one, be like, reference time. We were the news station. Unfortunately, Dean did not get that story first. So,
no.
Yeah,
Well,
but I will.
Leave Dean alone.
Yeah, I mean, but I will say this. Like, I think that in that week, and I'm not kidding you, and I even had one of my supervisors and everything. He was even asking me what my opinion was on like who I think. I told him first out, even while the whole coaching search and everything, and I told him, look, if we got Brent, I would be happy with it because he's done very successful and everything, and that's kind of what my safe gut went and everything. Of course, there was talk about Matt Campbell, but it was like I just don't see Matt Campbell being in that fit. It was just kind of
gross.
Ugh.
I mean, it was like, he has like that somewhat of that old grit and everything, but I just don't know if he would have been the right fit. That was my only issue.
I may have heard that for a whopping hour on Matt Campbell.
You want to hear some entertainment? Like I love message board geniuses is one of my favorite thing. It's one of my favorite ones. This wasn't message board geniuses, but it will be at some point. There's a USC guy says, I wonder when Lincoln hosts the barbecue recruiting event that usually occurs during the summer, will the former OU players come? Like Jalen, Baker, Kyler, maybe CeeDee Lamb, and Hollywood Brown. Like, the reason I say this because they were players under Riley, and you could argue that Riley played a huge role in their development, or do they just bring USC guys? I just
no.
There are people who actually think that. And it's just Baker Mayfield would never show up to USC's campus to help recruit for USC.
No. That doesn't just
like Kyler wouldn't do that either, by the way. None of those Jalen might. But the rest everyone else might. Right. I kid with Jalen. Jalen would go to Bama.
Right.
Like, you can understand that.
Right, that's fair with it. Like if this was an isolated thing where it was just like a reunion, sure, I could see a Baker or Kyler showing up. Not now, but like for recruiting, oh hell no, they wouldn't do that. Now
you imagine like how like Barry Switzer had like his big coaches reunion back in 2005 and all those players came back and everything. Is like
the DVD that's incredibly hard to find.
I mean, I got my copy and it's up on my channel for free to. It's up on my channel for free to watch for those who want to watch it. I uploaded it and ripped it. Right. So. Yeah, so you're welcome, Sooner Nation.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, so it is my God, that just someone who thinks that, but like you think Riley's ever getting like at a luncheon or anything like that, or a banquet and his former OU players come back. Most of the roster of the past couple of years apparently just like screw him.
Yeah. I think
there are a lot of hurt feelings coming out right now.
I think realistically, the only one I could possibly see having any type of association with Riley at that point is Baker, because he hasn't said anything on it, and that's kind of the extent.
He's been a bit busy, as everyone. Like Kyler was a bit busy too,
and
just a little bit.
Yeah, and Baker's probably going to get prepared for Monday night. Although I feel they should.
I mean, in general. With it,
Baker should shut it down for the rest of the year because they're out of the playoffs. So that's my opinion.
But I mean, like if Riley wanted to call, like, and I'm being facetious, but like, let's go get lunch, Baker may be the only one that would show up because him and Riley did enjoy each other's company. He was a good coach to Baker with it. But that being said,
I love to be a fly on the wall for that. It's like just Baker going, "You son of a bitch."
I can see him doing it. Like, but that's the question: was he loyal to Riley or was he loyal to Bob? And that's kind of the big question with that.
Well, Baker grew up as an OU fan in Austin, Texas, as a kid. So I think I know where his loyalties lie. And I also love DeAndre Moore, the wide receiver out of California for 2023. He's got that little kid OU love too. And
he does.
Because we got Javonte Barnes officially committed today. He was an early signee as well. So we got two really good running backs for the 22 class, and I'm like, yay, we have running backs again. We'll have a full running back room again of actual scholarship running backs. It's gonna be great.
Right. I do want to add in from y'all one. I do want to add my answer while it's on my mind. I'm gonna pair it kind of off y'all as well with it. It's a tie for me with Bob returning because that's something you just don't see. Texas one is also mine because of the events of my buddy not being able to go, me getting the tickets, and there's nothing I have ever been to that replicated that last 16 minutes. That's pure insanity. I cannot describe the last 16 minutes of that game. I just saw the Kayla today. I went with Kayla to that game, and she can. She's like, that was probably the best game I've ever gone to. And she said it competes with Jump Around with Texas Tech. Like, that is how much it is. Yeah, I know. Like, that's the environment. And mind you, that's
saying a lot.
Yeah, well, for her, it's also special, too, because, like, that's the first OU Texas they've gone to, and OU actually won. She was, I think, at 3 of them, and they all lost. So that plays a little bit into it as well.
I'm convinced I permanently damaged my vocal cords at that Tech game. Worth it.
Worth it. Worth it. But, yes, I mean, the thing is, though, is that's I can't describe that. Plus the emotional pull of it, of the Kennedy Brooks essentially walk off touchdown to win the game at that point. Now, that being said, the low for me, I want to say Riley. Riley is the one that's like, because of all the stuff. And I would probably go Riley just because of how much chaos there was. But we also had people keeping the ship intact and everything. Like, I would honestly say, for me, the low point before everything again to it was Nebraska trying to get out of playing us in the Big 12. I know that actually was a thing.
That's like, not a low point. That's just funny. That's just entertaining.
It is, but I look at it more of my dad couldn't go because of COVID. And it was like, oh, we planned this. And then with everything that happened the 2 weeks before and all the pomp and circumstance, that to me, that was a low personally. For that, you know, it was something you look forward to, and then it didn't play out that well. Texas made up for that. Nebraska was like, but I enjoy going with my buddy. Don't get me wrong.
Listen, I'm trying to put out content on a regular basis, considering like because the Lord wants me to be a full-time YouTuber, I guess. That's just what's happened. Stuff like Nebraska wanting to like get out of the game is just beautiful. It's just great for me. You have no idea. It's just wonderful on so many levels. I get to have, I don't want to say faux outrage, but I get to rip into them a little bit. And then of course, it turns into a game at the end of the day. Oh, we're going to drop 50. It's like, nope. It actually turns into a game. And DJ Graham has like, I guess according to Sports Center, DJ Graham was like the number 2 play of the year.
Well, that's where I'm going with. What was the plays and stuff too when we're thinking of? Because to me, it was the Mims. Mims was the play. Graham's was cool. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't see that one. That was on the other side of the stadium.
I mean, it took me a while, but I finally got. I supported name, image, and likeness, and got my T-shirt. So you're welcome, Marvin Mims. Come back next year.
I will say this. I would say the top play of the year for me would probably have to go Caleb Williams to Marvin Mims and that crazy toe tap touchdown right there.
Yeah, that's what we said.
With
Texas.
Yeah,
that's
Texas.
the same one.
I would have to agree with you on that.
Yeah. So, what about you, Nick?
And I think
favorite play? Oh, sorry.
I love all those plays, but the one that I just keep thinking about, and it was a really low point in the season, and we hadn't even lost a game yet. But that Kansas game, I swear to God, when Caleb Williams literally wills a first down by ripping the ball out of his own running back's hand, it's like, all right, I'm taking it and I'm going forward 3 yards. I just saw that and I'm just like, oh man, you know what? That's a play Baker would have made. That's a friggin' play right there. Like, give me the ball. I'm getting us a first down, no matter the cost.
And the people in the stadium, I went to that game, and people were like, "Can he do that?" I'm like, "There's nothing saying he didn't." Well, he got the forward part. No, he did not go over the line, guys. Like, Kansas fans were legitimately mad. But then again, that was at the time when they made the announcement, "Everybody get in here."
Look, I'm not going to pretend I knew for 100% for sure what he did was legal. I was just happy that it was like considered okay at the time. And I was like, my God, I was just like, oh, good. We're not going to lose to Kansas. Thank God. That's all I cared about at the time. Is like, in the moment, I was like, oh, this can't be legal, right? This can't be legal. And then it turns out.
Yeah, but at least we're not like Texas where we lost to Kansas. That's for sure.
It's better to almost lose to Kansas than to actually lose to Kansas.
Correct.
But I appreciate Kansas and their willingness to drop, public bags of money for their O-line. They got 6 O-linemen in this class, so that means one of them is either going to be a bench warmer most of their career or transfer. So, I mean, just you have to do the math there. At least one is not going to be starting his entire career consistently. I mean, that's just math. There's 5 spots, unless you're going to do this jumbo goal line package all the time or something, and you're going to revolutionize football. But
that's weird to say. Kansas, after being a doormat for 10 years,
Devin Campbell, we need you to be our 12th offensive lineman on the field. Like, aren't there only 11 players involved? Shh. The refs got an NIL deal too. Don't worry about it. We really believe we can win 9 games with 13 players on the field. But we really think we can make it happen.
Yeah. Here's another question for you, and I'm going to go Gavin for this one first with it, because we're recapping kind of everything. Gavin, what's the one thing that does stick out to you from this year? From pretty much when in my opinion, the chaos kind of started in the off season back in March or February, when EA Sports kind of announced that an NCAA game was going to be made, which kind of gave the signal later on that NIL was going to come here very, very shortly, and it did. What kind of is the one thing that stuck out to you as a headline? Was it Riley Lever? Was it Venables? Like, what is the one kind of deal?
I think what really, and I would say a little bit after that, I think for me, it was like the start of that movement would probably be within like the announcement of going from the Big 12 to the SEC. That for me was sort of like one of those big headlines, because it was just so, we kind of like, okay, it was like a little bit of settling down with all the realignment and everything. And then all of a sudden, boom, you got both, 2, and I'm just saying this, not just from football, but like program stand-wise, Oklahoma and Texas, which are like top premier, athletic, programs and everything, to going from the Big 12 to the SEC, where we thought we were done with realignment and everything, and it was like, no, now it was just another power shift going on over to the SEC.
And what's
I think
crazy?
That was a big headline.
And so I have a timeline listed of all like kind of the big major stuff from it. That was July 22nd. We were in the SEC a week later. That's kind of how crazy fast this moved.
Well, yeah, when that little Twitter post broke, it's like, oh, okay, this is just another off-season thing. Like, how many times have we heard? Like, I remember hearing stuff. LSU is tired of the SEC and they're thinking of joining the Big 12. It's like
Arizona State from the past.
Arizona State's going to join, and so I made my little I made my little YouTube video, one of my joke videos I like to make, where I'm like, what? I didn't think anything of it. It became real like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Like during Feinbaum, it became real. It's like, wait, you're the guy. We have the guy who wrote this. Is like, no, I am actually serious. This is actually happening. I expect this to be done within a week.
And it took everybody like, I'm gonna go with Nick on this one. Nick, like when we heard this, it was like same thing. It's a joke, but then it seemed like it was almost like a cascade of events of you didn't let us play Nebraska at night, and it kind of
we just wanted to play Nebraska at night.
Just wanted to play Nebraska at night. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, like that kind of seemed to be the final straw, and then it took everybody's shock. And then you also had the other Big 8 or Big 12 teams going, "What about us?" And just like, "Sorry, my dudes, peace out, bye." But
sorry, pores.
But
you get UCF and Cincinnati and BYU as a consolation prize, and Houston, I guess, too.
And I think really I will say I think BYU is a win for them just because of the media market, but everybody else.
Some great action on Sunday. I can't wait to watch those games.
I know, right? Them with that chalky milk. I'm just saying, got to party somehow. So, but Nick, no, like so the SEC with Nebraska and everything that happened, it almost seemed like a roller coaster of events, because then what happened after that, we got the alliance at that point where it's like, we're going to ban, and then, what happened after that?
My favorite thing to come out of all of that was just the combination of denial and panic from Texas A&M and their fan base. Oh, good Lord, were they in panic mode? Because like in the short term, they realize, oh no, they're going to have the magical SEC powers now too. Uh-oh. That's not good. That's not good at all.
The roof is on fire.
I do want to say this, and I'm just saying this as a casual fan and everything, and I'm kind of going back on the whole nostalgic, back in the Southwest Conference, Big 12 days and everything. I always looked forward, to the Lone Star Showdown between Texas and Texas A&M, and seeing that hatred and everything. It was just such one of those games to where, I didn't really care record-wise, but it was like, man, it was going to be a dogfight between those.
Oh
two
yeah, well, no different than OU.
Auburn, Alabama, or.
Well, with the trip to the chicken ranch on the line, it's very important to win that game.
I am so proud of you with that reference right there. I'm just saying. So proud of you. You and Nick have been on point tonight with the references. Like, kudos to both of you guys. Nick, though.
One more mile until we get to heaven.
Better than a football game?
Nick, though, but seriously, so we had SEC. What would be the one thing that sticks out to you immediately, pretty much from the NCAA announcement with NCAA coming back to today? What is the one thing, whether it's a play, headline, player, whatever it is?
I hate to rehash this, but honestly, when I was done processing the shock of Tebow leaving, I thought about it from a narrative standpoint. And I looked at myself and I said, there is so much more to this story that we do not know. There is some shadowy shit in a closet somewhere that we do not know about that will come out, because I swear to God, they're probably going to make a 30 for 30 about this. But I mean, Riley has no idea what he's just done. Like he won 5 Big 12 championships in a row. Bob Stoops won 3 in a row, and then the wheels fell off the wagon in 2009. And he won 5 in a row. If he had just kept going, the man was going to have his own freaking statue in no time at all. And then we started to question his development. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you fans are just crapping on him now because he's gone. It's like, no, we have legitimate questions. Why was Spencer Rattler poo-poo? We have many questions. But he has no idea what he's done. Like, we will never, ever cherish his accomplishments anymore. He is dead to us. He is on fire to us. And USC fans are starting to figure this out, because their TikTok account we're getting to them. Their TikTok account straight up said, what we want for Christmas is for Oklahoma fans to leave us alone. We're getting to them. USC better go undefeated for the rest of time, because I mean the second they lose a game, we will bring all hell upon
Everybody
them.
get in
there
here.
Will be no quarter. It's literally the SpongeBob meme of opening up the coffin and saying, "Okay, get in."
I think the whole, like I was about to say, when you first said USC fans are going to be like, wait, like they barely show up to the games anyway,
and that's something else Riley's going to figure out.
Well, yeah, I think he prefers that. I'll be quieter. He can he'll be able to get his plays in. Nobody will be at this Coliseum. I mean, despite what people believe, the Coliseum is in a nice part of LA. People think it's a trash neighborhood. No, it's not. Yeah. It's a very nice area.
It's not the Rose Bowl.
I've been to the Rose Bowl on during a flea market day. It's just out in the middle of nowhere, Pasadena. It's just literally out there. It's just in a little. It's like so isolated and weird, but
it's the granddaddy of them all. How dare you?
It's a flea market.
Yeah.
We allow a bunch of old people in red jackets to control when we host our national semifinal because we have.
Yeah.
I mean. And what hurts the debate or argument is that they had another great Rose Bowl. So it was another great game at the Rose Bowl. So it's like, well, you want to ruin this? It's like, does it have to be the first? Can you move it around? I'm sure they cried tears when they had to move it from the first to the fourth for those old BCS title games and still legendary games. It wasn't on the first. And the parade. Oh God.
The sanctity of the ball. Oh, we lost Nick. I'll wait for him to reconnect. Now, real fast. That being said, with that, well, it's when I think of headlines and stuff too. The one that really truly does stick out to me, and I thought TiVo, I thought the chaos, moving the game to Norman, all that. NIL is still kind of the big thing that stuck out to me because everyone went, "Oh God, what are we going to see?" within a month? Is it going to be the Wild West? Is people going to take advantage? And boy, did they take advantage of it. We have people signing blank checks. We have Spencer Rattler different digs and everything like that. Add Nick back in. And he's probably having some internet problems with it. But
they got to me. The Rose Bowl people found out what we were saying and shut me down.
Yeah. You're not invited to the parade.
My door right now. FBI!
Well, no, I mean, my dad's generation and, kind of I guess, Gen Xers and really old millennials are just my deal with the name, image, and likeness is that I need
really fast, Sean. Nick, what I was saying, my headline was NIL. So sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
Right.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, I need you older folks out there to stop complaining about these guys getting their deals. I really need you to do that. All due respect, I'm going to go on a limb here. You're the same guys who believe in free market and capitalism, right? So you got to be on the same team here. If you believe in free market and capitalism. Now, but God bless my dad and God bless other people, but there's a generation, there's a group of guys who, we talk about loving football, and Herb Street took some heat the other day for this. Talking about there's guys who don't love football. No, that they love football, but they're not stupid. Okay, we're conflating and contorting all this. It's they don't love football. That's bullshit. That's not true at all. They don't love football. I can't believe they don't want to play in the Outback. I was like.
Well, Sean.
No. My point, getting to that point, it's just because you're 18, 19, just because you're 20, 21, and you're hitting your junior year, your third year move from high school, and people know what their value is. Some people overvalue themselves. A lot of these guys do, but the obvious ones, the Olaves and the Garrett Wilsons who didn't play in the Rose Bowl. Oh my God, they didn't play in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, because the Rose Bowl, all due respect, doesn't have the same meaning as it did 10, 15 years ago. It just doesn't. That's the truth. It means something once every 3 years. That's a fact. So guys know what their value is. And look at Matt Corral last night. Matt Corral. He said, I'm going to play. I'm going to do this. And I don't know what his injury is. I don't know how it's going to affect him. But that's the horror story that you look at. I mean, Clayton Smith, we would go way back. You know, when Ohio State and Notre Dame played in that Fiesta Bowl, he got hurt. It hurt his draft stock. Now, Ohio State, Notre Dame, big game. Guys with real legitimate futures are choosing to opt out. And if it's not a playoff game, they're not going to, like, I don't hold it against them. It's like, you committed, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And like, all due respect, the majority of the guys I know who say that, they may have loved football. They may have even had the work ethic. I guarantee you, like 90%, 99% of those guys did not have the God-given talent to earn the big money income that awaits them on the next level of the NFL. All due respect. I love the sport too. If a genie asked me, a genie could grant me one of three wishes, I would beat Baker Mayfield and I would break Bud Wilkinson's record and win the playoff every year and be the greatest OU football quarterback. You know, we all have like the football dreams and, you know, fantasies and stuff. We all have that on some level. We do it through our video games and stuff. Yeah. But it's so, I get that, but when you're that close, and only because we live in the college football bubble, only in college football is like, guys, season's over. We're not going to play for the actual big championship, but we're going to play a scrimmage against another team over here. And actually, that team has COVID, so they can't play. But we're going to find another replacement, like at the last second. We're going to get Rutgers to come down and play. It's like, okay, like because when people like bowl games, it's like there's over 40 of them. And so when it used to kind of be special to go to one. If you can't get to a bowl game, your team kind of sucks if you can't get to a bowl game. Let's just be honest. 6 wins, that's the barrier, that's the margin. And 2 of those could be garbage cupcake games on your schedule. I just like, I don't hold like he took his team to a bowl every year. It's like, okay, so it means you're at minimum mediocre average? Yeah. Doesn't make you special. Doesn't make you unique.
Well, and that's why I bring up NIL and stuff too, because it was like, I respect Stroud's comment from last night of like about like people caring stuff. I'm like, you can't have it both ways, CJ, where you can not support the guys of like, we're going to go to the NFL and then turn around and say, well, you need to play in the games. Like, yeah, you can't have it both ways. Like,
imagine if the Rose Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl and even the Sugar Bowl, imagine if those were playoff games.
Oh, man, that was juicy.
And or in the Peach Bowl was good. Imagine if they had the 2 top best players in those games. If Pickett was playing and Kenneth Walker was playing, my God. Yeah. I mean, who knows who would have won that game? Maybe Pitt wins that game if they have their starting quarterback. They had to go their 3rd string and they came close to winning. It was entertaining and fun. But you know what? Like, but you got to make these games matter. It's like, well, and like I hear it's like, well, for the bowl game, it's just like, you got to pay these players. Oh, that's going to work. You're going to pay just the star players, and it's going to cause a rift in the locker room. It's like, we're going to pay you a one-time fee. That might work on some guys, but guys with actual agents and people in the ear is like, dude, are you really going to take like a $50,000 payout for one game when you got millions of dollars waiting for you in the next? Like, no, we're not going to do that. That's going to work if you're 18, 19 years old. Once you get to 2021 and you got people around you, he's like, dude, you do not need to play in the Alamo Bowl. You do not need to play in the Holiday Bowl. Don't worry about that. It's like, you're ready to go to the next level. And it's like I said before, it's like, you know, as nice a moment as the Alamo Bowl was, we won the game without Isaiah Thomas, Nick Benito, Perrin Winfrey, Brian Asamoah, and we won the game. And because most of those guys are going to get drafted, and I don't know, they're not all going to succeed. I don't think they might have. Someone might surprise me. I think Isaiah Thomas has a shot. Nick Benito. Perrion's going to work a little harder. I love Perrin Winfrey. He's got to work a little harder. Asamoah will be interesting, but you know, go get your payday, man. Like, go get your payday. That's just how I feel. And, but
I agree with you, Sean, with it, because like, again, tying it back to NIL stuff, I thought a little bit last night on it. Unless you're in the playoffs, no one cares about bragging rights. Let's all be honest on that. The only time the bowl games matter is when it's a novelty, like the Alamo Bowl. Bob coaching one more time is enough of a watch for it, and enough for us to get invested.
Yeah, if Brian Odom was the head coach, no one would care.
Correct. No one would have cared. Yeah, the revenge factor, but it wouldn't have meant anything. This meant
a little. I didn't have the revenge factor in that game.
I didn't either, but it was a
Oregon had barely had a roster, and it's just I know
Right.
like I'm not listen. If you
Yeah.
feel if you all out there feel you got revenge for 06, God bless you. Go for it. Have at it.
Like the TV movie.
Let 'em
That's
live.
what it was.
I'll let you live and everything. There was even an onside kick at the end, and we actually recovered it. So, but
You
it's
mentioned
like,
the PTSD again.
but if that game,
At least they got the right call.
but if that game is in September in Norman in the regular season, that's when it's cool and it means something. Like in the moment then, because you want to talk about a hostile crowd.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about a hostile.
But that's where I'm going with the thing. The stuff that matters is when it's teams that make it there maybe one time every 10 years, like Oklahoma State, and it means something to them. That's the ones that aren't opting out. Utah,
At
first
least they
Rose
get
Bowl ever. Of
PS5s
course,
out of
they're
it.
going to go play of it. Ohio
Well, I mean,
State-
who on Oklahoma State's roster is like a super prominent NFL prospect? Did anyone opt out for Oklahoma State? I can't. off the top of my
I
head.
don't think anybody did. Although Malcolm Rodriguez is going to be a really good, selection. If anything, because he has played outstanding.
And it doesn't
this
hurt to
season.
put. I mean, but again, there's some guys who one more game putting film on, putting some more film with them on it.
Yeah.
It helps, and some guys, it's like, listen, I've done pretty
Right.
much everything
Well,
I can.
but, it's funny though. Even though I even say like, hey, like it matters to the Utahs of the State. Look at Michigan State and Pitt. They played it and they had people opt out.
Did Mel Tucker earn his salary now? Jeez, if I have to hear that
Yeah.
joke one more time, it's like, yeah, Mel Tucker's 2-0 against Michigan. So he's beaten his rival and he took him to a New Year's Six. I think he's earning his paycheck.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, he got blown up by Ohio State. Okay, it's year 2. Year 1 was a COVID year. He barely knew his players' names and he beat Michigan.
Correct. But again, it's so in the moment of which games are going to matter and which ones. The Peach Bowl, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is one of the New Year's Six. Nobody cared about Michigan State Pitt, even though they don't.
No,
make it
there's
there.
only 3 games that matter: the semis and the championship. There's only ones that really matter at the end of the day.
And-
I mean, a bowl game might matter to you personally or to someone else personally, but
Right.
like in the grand scheme of things, it's like I said, like winning or losing the Alamo Bowl is not going to move the needle for Oklahoma. So whenever I say this is a launching point in the next season, it's like,
Correct.
no, not really. The launching point is like hiring Brent Venables. That was the launching point. I mean,
Correct.
whether we played in the Alamo Bowl or not wasn't going to change that. Brent was still going to be the head coach, and Bob was still going to be the caretaker and take care of things. And win or lose, it was a nice moment at the end of the day. But we got Javonte. Like we were going to get Javonte Barnes today, regardless of the Alamo Bowl, because he already signed. So Javonte Barnes is going to be a commit and everything. I don't think we earned an extra commitment potentially down the road because of the Alamo Bowl. What we may have done is potentially where they were really trying to convince Eric Gray to stay because they were giving him the ball a lot. Obviously Mims and Mario Williams, like they were like, give Cale Gundy all the credit in the world. He called a really good game offensively and got the receivers involved. And so, even though he's not going to be the one running the offense, he'll still be on the staff and he'll still be doing stuff. So I love the people who want to fire Levy based off the Sugar Bowl. That was great.
Yeah, that was dumb. Like Matt
Again, don't put too much stock into the bowl games.
right. Like Taylor called a good game.
Yeah. If I may, I was going to say, can we just talk about like how crazy that Mario Williams, that face mask penalty that they had on Mario Williams, though, against Oregon, where, man, who was that player for Dallas?
Jason Witten. Jason
Witten. Yeah, that's just what reminded me of right there. When I saw that play, and it was like,
that was a great play.
Oh man, we could have had our own Jason Witten moment, but no, the rules and safety and everything had to be the top priority.
There was no one around him for 50 yards, but he was clearly in danger, so we had to stop the game.
Yeah,
right. I
mean,
thinking why they couldn't just decline it, like
what that rule is basically for. It's built for like guys on the offensive line who, when there's like hands to the face and stuff, and that because there's a lot of action going around. It's like maybe like obviously there's not a rule built in, but you need like a judgment call where it's like, hey, refuge or judgment. He's like, I think he's going to be fine. And once he crosses that goal line, the play's dead anyway. So maybe just let it play out. But alas, it didn't happen.
Yeah, I think the other part though too, and I'm just saying this because I think a lot of it was, and I know there was no players around, but it's like you're also putting into like a whole Pandora's box though and everything if you let it play out, without a helmet too. So I understand why they have to call the play dead and everything there, but it was just like
Mario Williams don't need no helmet. He's a man. He don't need no helmet.
Yeah,
it was just over the player. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was just, one of those things. It was like, and that face mask actually saved them 4 points, if anything, on that drive. It really did.
Oh, well, yeah, but...
OU loses by 4. Oh, no. What are the odds?
But no, I will say, though, too, I think, and it's very interesting because it's like, for me, I have a hard time seeing, like, Caleb Williams basically going anywhere because it's like, who would be, be taken over at this point? Because he's sort of in a pretty good prime position where he's at. There's really
I think we all need to prepare ourselves for him leaving. Just be prepared for it. And if it doesn't happen, great. We'll celebrate it. But I am mentally preparing myself for him to not stick around at this point.
I am too. I'm of the feeling if he was going to stay, he would have announced it.
And here's the thing. It doesn't matter where he goes because people are going to be like, why is he going there? NIL money. I guarantee, like he is trying to get, like he is trying to get his best deal. And there is
something about, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, it's like people got to realize the guy he committed to is gone and people think he's going to follow him, and there's a small chance he might, but I highly doubt it because I think they got burned once already by that. And like the worst thing he did is that whoever coached him how to answer the question, because he knew that question was coming when he was going to talk to people, because he knew he wasn't going to give an answer, and the whole going on vacation thing, and it's just like, it could have been handled a little better. I'm not holding that against him. I don't think he meant ill will. It's just the fact that if he goes wherever he goes, people are going to scream about it. No matter, there's going to be, well, they don't do this, or they don't do this, or they don't have this, or it's going to be something. And so, but there are names out there, there are schools out there, and that like everyone's going to want to come get him. Because trust me, if he enters the portal, you're not going to, it'll be on like you don't have to worry about Twitter or me talking about it or message boards talking about it. That will be ESPN bottom ticker news. So,
well, and I've come to the realization, like, if he was going to do it, he would have announced. I'm prepared that he is not staying because I think the family trip, hey, half of it's just to decompress from everything, but also B, I think he's exploring his options, and I really do believe he's not going to be sticking around. I really do. But that being said, the
problem is that, like, whether he's intentionally doing it or not, he's kind of like, I'm not saying he's holding the program hostage, but he is, where we are kind of in neutral at the moment until he makes a call, but until we know he's going to be here, because in a couple weeks, we still got a couple weeks left of recruiting, and like we have one quarter as of right now, we have one scholarship QB. If he does leave, just one scholarship QB. We still have to go get another one or two more potentially. We need to go get someone in the portal, and there's no guarantee Nick Evers is going to just be the starter next year. He's a true freshman. Now Caleb's a true freshman, but he's a special talent. There's a difference. But you're probably going to go portal someone, and it's like, well, we'll go get Dylan Gabriel. It's just like, no, you don't want Dylan Gabriel. I've talked to people who know Dylan Gabriel. He's a prick. You don't want Dylan Gabriel.
Wasn't there, Sean, and wasn't there a player who did that a while back where I want to say he was committing to us, and then like right on signing day, I think it screwed Riley out of one of those recruits with it, and they were like, dude, like you were with it was the Bama running back. It was like the last 12 hours. It was like, seriously, dude.
Are you talking about Jace McClellan?
I think so. Yeah, where
that's what got Jay Boulware fired, because he screwed the pooch on that one. He got just like because we could, you know what sucks about that?
That he's good.
We could have had we in theory really could have gotten Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
We could have really gotten Bijan. Like I'm not saying a slam dunk, but if we had just recruited him, well, we already had Jace. We could have had Bijan Robinson, man. And Bijan got his 5th star very late in the process, at least on Rivals. And it's like, oh, how did you guys not get? It's like, well, we thought we had a guy. And the irony is that the 2 guys that we lost to Bama back to back are injured this year, haven't played a snap. Both of them.
Terrible.
Like both Jace and both Kamar just like injured, haven't done shit at Bama yet. So,
it's pretty crazy with it. So I mean, it giveth and taketh away.
Yeah, I do want to mention this too, because it's like I've always been. I think if anything else, and I just kind of want to go back to this Riley bit and everything, but. Like, there was, just so much of a pipeline that's been going on in California, where we've kind of gotten, a few players out of Cali for so many years and everything. But I think a lot of the, too, and look, and I know, the whole NIL deal and everything else, so too, especially with it being in LA and everything, it's like, how would you not want to play, stay, while staying in state and everything else, though, too, and having, sort of the deals, and I'm just saying, and I'm not saying I'm, I'm on an angry deal with Riley or anything. I'm not. It's like, if you look at it from that sort of player perspectives and everything, and have them where they are still playing in state, close to home and making the deals and everything. I mean, how would you not want to play over at USC? That's kind of where I look at it.
Well, and they don't.
I'm just looking at it from an objective.
Well, that kind of goes with Georgia and Florida and stuff too, where they don't have to leave. There's stuff to do in that city with it. Of course, they're going to go to those places, like Ohio State and Oklahoma, kind of being the exceptions to the rule of people wanting to come here because we're blue bloods with it. That took time with it, but USC, Florida, Georgia, gosh, what else? Who else? Throw in there at this point, Texas, maybe. There's
Texas,
stuff to do, sure. Really fast while I mention it, guys, I am opening the room up. I think Nick dropped out for the rest of the night with it. I haven't got a response. Maybe it's his internet. So I do want to thank Nick for joining us tonight. That was fun to get his input and just see him. He hasn't popped up on OU football in quite some time. So it was good to see him. But guys, if you want to hop in with us, I'm throwing the link in there so you can kind of talk about what your stuff was the entire season and stuff as well with it. As well, again, headset, kind of a must. You don't need the webcam. But that being said, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of part of it. I did want to throw, Sean, you never answered too. What was kind of the shocking headline for you? Was it SEC? Was it NIL? Was it Chandler Morris transferring and Lincoln Riley trying to stop that happening? What was the headline, I guess, that sticks out to you? From
We're still on this?
Yeah, I never got your answer.
SEC, yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, I mean, we already kind of went over that, so for the most part, I got really nothing new to add, really, but yeah, that's what I got.
I was just curious. So, I mean, it was just a wild season. I mean, you said it at the middle of the season, Sean, where if you like roller coasters and excitement, there's always something new with OU football as of every week. And I mean, I don't think there was a time where it slowed down. It never did.
No, it didn't. I mean, I think this is one of those weird roller coaster seasons to where, I think I'm sorry for copy and pasting, Sean, but like how you said, I think it was almost like how it was in 06, if anything, that it just had that feeling of the 2006 season. That's kind of what it felt like, if anything.
Well, and the thing is too, Gavin, our kind of craziness started again, not just with the NCAA stuff or anything like that, but truly for OU, our stuff kind of got crazy back, and I wanted to bring this up, was in May when we had the Seth McGowan, Trayvon Bridges situations happen. That's kind of where all the OU crazy kind of started until now, where, what did they do? Oh, they beat up their weed dealer. cool. And then
Okay,
we also saw
McGowan and
Marathon.
Bridges, though. Okay, the McGowan and Bridges, that was just more of, like them, doing stupid stuff and everything to where, it was like they basically, just was going on stupid stuff and everything, and that's just all I'm gonna say, because for me it's like, for doing stuff like that and everything, I mean that's gonna get you, off the team and all that and everything regardless. I mean, if you go to any, well, I wouldn't say all programs, but like when you're at that sort of a bit of where you have a high standard or anything, it just doesn't matter what it is or anything. You're going to be off the team regardless.
Right, but what I meant was, it's like when you're recapping the year and everything, you can't. That put us in a weird situation because we didn't have running backs, and I do think that does kind of contribute to Riley's very conservative game plans and stuff throughout the year with it.
Well, but I think the other part though too, it was like, let's see, who was it? You had Pledger. I think if I'm not mistaken, he went to Utah.
Yeah, it was Pledger. Right, it was Pledger first, and then you also had Seth McGowan, Trajan Bridges.
Yeah, Seth McGowan.
Had the third player, Mikey Henderson, and then you had right like a week before the game started, Marcus Major was ruled academically ineligible with it. So I know so much happened.
Yeah, so I think it was weird because, and I will kind of say this, to where I think it was kind of where they had to go a little, quote, pass happy, end quote, which I don't like to do because, we always, you always wanted to say, run the football. And the problem is, how can you run the football if you don't have your depth at running back?
I think it falls down to that he didn't want to run the ball just in general. And I think USC was about to find that out.
I think it's a little both, though, if anything. And I'm just saying that because it's like, if you have only 2 scholarship backs or so that are still playing and you're down to 1, and then you're basically relying it all on, a bunch of walk-ons at this point. It's, one of those, it's like you pick your poison on that. Would you want to go ahead and keep your, just rely on your air game and everything, or do you want to take that chance and basically cause some injury and then have to put your walk-ons in who have no experience at all?
Exactly. There was something that just came to me as well. I think something of another headline and stuff that kind of, I'm backtracking just a little bit with it, but it was important. It never came to us, but it did play an impact, was OU early in March announcing that they're going to have the stadium at full capacity with it as well. That was kind of a big deal at the time of, maybe we're going to have a sense of normalcy with it. And then who's going to take the vaccine? Who's not going to take the vaccine? I don't want to delve far into that at that point, but it was a big storyline at the time. And who was it? I mean, there was so many rumors of, were players playing, were they not playing for any reason?
Yeah, and I think that, the other thing you have to understand too is that during that time, and this is just the whole thing, was the vaccine was just now getting out and everything. And of course, this was the whole issue with having to deal with Delta and, people being vaccinated and everything, that was one thing and all that. But, that's just a lot of different outside sources and everything. Now, the problem, thing is, it's outdoor sports like football, soccer, baseball, and everything, they can get away with some of it because, it's, outside, open air and all that and everything. Basketball, on the other hand, or other indoor venues, that's more tricky than anything because you're inside, you're ventilated, you have to share the same air and everything. It spreads all over the place and everything. That's a whole nother issue though too.
Well, that also falls back to though, it was about the crowds and stuff the home attendance was cut earlier. But I mean, sure, it played into the players' participations and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's just a lot of different outside factors though too. Where you have to take with what you can, and understanding, because especially when we're still in a pandemic, by the way, and that's something where.
Here's my next question though, with it now that everything, I mean, we've covered a lot of it. I mean, there's still individual storylines. You can kind of theme each month at this point of what the top headline was because it never steamed the shop. But Sean, here's my question going forward at this point. What I guess is the next thing that OU football has. I mean, what we have the second signing day at this point. We have the spring game here probably in about 3 months. That's probably gonna be the first. No, spring game happened this year. Spring game's still gonna happen, and then do we have any recruiting dead period again, or is that kind of?
No, dead period's on right now till like the 13th or 14th, and that's like within the last 2 weeks there'll be like coaches around. You'll be able to talk to players again and set up visits for those who want to take visits, and you'll be able to recruit up until February 2nd. It's like the first Wednesday in February. So right now, like any like there's a reason like when you see like guys like Kobe McKenzie and stuff all on Twitter, like players are talking with other players through back channels and Twitter spaces and stuff like that. And I look for OU to add like a decent number of pieces for February, but that's kind of like that's for football. It's all about recruiting from here on out until February. Like OU is going to be one of the more active schools and closing, because like most of the like A&M's done for the most part, Texas is done, Georgia's done, like Bama's done. Like if you got like 24, 25, and for the most part, that's like a typical class. But overall, just it has a chance to finish like as a 10 to 15 level class, depending on how things end up. It is kind of a miracle that they're able to salvage it, because they could have up to 15, 16, 17 4-stars, composite 4-stars at the end of the day. And like that's pretty damn good. And you get like a quarterback and a really good receiver out of it too. So he's like, Brent is trying to load up on quality linemen, especially on defense. But the big fish, as I've said multiple times, is like Devin Campbell. I think the feeling is Texas is still kind of in the lead, but they talked about the unofficial 40 with on the podcast, like the rivals guys. It's like if they can get him on campus, Campbell's gonna he'll probably take, more than likely he'll take another visit to Texas, another visit to OU. Like him going to Texas, fine, let him take his day. You want OU to hopefully be the second stop. You want to have the last word. You want to be the last thing that he sees, hears, feels going in. So I think OU can get him. But in Beatonbow, you have Beatonbow still, and you have the fact that Texas has already signed 6 guys on the O-line. Not saying he would be worried about not, getting a spot or starting, but it's like, they got 6 guys in one class already. It's like, you can sell, dude. I'm not the greatest fan of potentially saying a true freshman can start at guard, but if you're going to start a true freshman on the O-line anywhere, I don't mind starting at guard. Because guard, you go back to guys like Adam Shedd was like he had like a lot of back injuries, but when he was like as a true freshman, the dude was like a great run blocker. Dude was like as a true freshman, he was really good. And so a Devin Campbell is like, if he wouldn't be an early enrollee. That's kind of the downside. But if he gets with Schmitty in July and works his way up, and they need someone to plug in October, and he can make an impact at some point next year, great. Yeah. But you got to get him first. So, but expect a lot of guys on the line of scrimmage. There's a couple guys for Oregon that they're going after, like Grayson Halton and Jaleel Florence, who's a big time corner out of San Diego. A couple 4-star kids. There's the Moten kid, the 4-star D tackle, the defensive lineman down in South Florida. There's R. Mason Thomas, who's an Iowa State commit, who people really think they can flip him from Iowa State. He's like a 3-star guy, but like Campbell wants him. So trust me, if like this is the right staff to like get one of those 3 stars and really like mold them and build them up to something. But other than that, transfer portal will still be active for the most part. You still have a chance to add a bunch of guys, because I think you can still add like up to about a certain number. If you lose a few guys in the portal, you can add like up to like 7 or 8 guys, something crazy like that. So even if OU gets 25, they can still potentially add 5 to 5 to 6, 7 more guys through the portal just based on guys they've lost, like, Radler and Stogner, to name a few, and Hazelwood. So they'll be able to add some pieces. But for OU, it's like recruiting and transfer portal for football news is what you're going to be looking for. And spring football, I don't know how much you're going to hear because it's a new regime. So I don't know how much is going to leak out through certain people because maybe the Rivals guys will get back in with Brent. You never know. Maybe they'll actually get some info on stuff like they used to when Mike Stoops was the D coordinator, because they used to get some stuff. But we'll see what happens.
Well, and that's what I was curious of. Like, what's the spring game going to look like? Are we going to have a Champ U barbecue again? Are we going to try to do like a July 4th? The feeling is like he's going to do all that stuff still. Like he's not going to like, well, it's like, dude, though, like Brent's smart enough to know, like, because they do similar stuff at Clemson. So they're going to have, they're like, I think Brent's smart enough. Like he's got the Thad Turnip Seeds of the world for working for him, who know how to make that shit happen. Who's just like, here's what you need to do, because when Riley did the barbecue like last year, it was all flash. Get the cars on the field. Get kids posing with the cars. Attract the big money feel to it, and that works for a lot of guys. But I want to see what Brent does for his style. Like I'm excited to see what that turnip seed does to get things moving in the right direction. But you're still gonna have big events and this is where you plant your flag here. Like I still think like getting visits for the spring game is very important. I like you build up the spring game, you make it an event, you keep that going. You have the July barbecue. You almost turn your off season into something similar with the NFL. You have a big event to look forward to. So the spring game, you make it a big event. July barbecue, you make it a big event because everyone else is getting big commitments in July anyway. So you might as well be part of that fun as well. Like July has turned into like a big commitment month. So everyone's like, oh, July is like the worst month for sports and it's the toughest wait. That's when we get a lot of guys commit, especially for OU. So you want to keep that going. Do you think making the spring game more of a fan-oriented event and then making the July stuff a more player-oriented event kind of would work out? Or do you think it should, because the player one, obviously the fans can't attend that, but like for the spring
then they shouldn't either. It's supposed to be private.
Correct.
It's supposed to.
Right. That's a closed door, let the media come in, kind of do their thing, but this is for the players.
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know like what. I'm sure like Kerry Murdoch and those guys would love to have access to all that stuff. Believe me, I'm sure they would. But at the same time, it's like you want to make it comfortable for players to come in and feel like they can just like let their hair down and not have like a bunch of like media guys like asking a bunch of questions like while they're trying to get a feel for if they want to come to this program or not. So that's the way I look at it.
In that narrative, how they want to spin it with the barbecue at that point with it, if they have it, it could be something completely different. And that's kind of where I'm thinking too. Of you mentioned like we have the recruiting stuff, we have like the July stuff, spring game. Honest question: do you think they're going to have some in-place NIL caps before August? Because I feel like that's coming because of how.
I mean, you're going to have to. You're asking the NCAA to figure this out before August.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
You're asking the NCAA to fix this before August. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, they're more concerned about like the early signing period than right now. Because they want to try to move it to January because, oh my God, it's like, that's not going to fix anything. It's going to make it worse. You're going to move it to January. Then you'll have another month. Are you going to have another dead? Is the whole month going to be a dead period till February? Or are you going to move it to March? Or what are you going to like? You don't want to do that. Like you don't want your signing, your second signing period to be in March and potentially interfere with like college basketball and everyone's distracted by that. Like you have it's like I would either get rid of the early signing period or keep it the way it is. Like either get rid of it or keep it. Like don't try to move it to January. It doesn't make any sense to do it then.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Sean, I want to ask you this, and I'm just kind of was going into the recruiting deal a little bit. I was going to ask you this. Have you heard about Eric McCarty? Adam McAllister by any chance? Have you heard about him?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, he got an offer, and it's a big deal, and I think Brent is going to. He's really smart and re-energizing in-state recruiting, and because that's going to be important not just for him, but the guy I'm really excited about in-state recruiting is a little ways away. 2024 David Stone. There is a lot of hype around that kid being the next big, we're talking maybe the best in-state D lineman since Gerald McCoy level big. Their hype. That's the hype I'm hearing. No, this guy's gonna be great.
Where is he out of?
That's a good question. I forgot off the top of my head. I'm Gavin. It's a very OU friendly area, which is most of the state, obviously. But you know what I mean. But the coaching staff is very OU friendly, from what I understand.
What's his name again?
David Stone, 2024 D lineman.
I'm curious. I'm looking that up as we.
But no, but there's been
wow, Del City. He's from
Del
City. Wow.
Yeah, Del City.
Okay, yeah, but it's he's been quietly every time there's a certain someone who hypes up a lot of things, and he's sometimes he gets a little too excited, but he's been very consistent on David Stone.
Yeah.
And David Stone got he got offered before under Riley, but he got offered again, and he publicly talked about it. He's I got another. So Brent knows what he's doing. I'm not saying it's 100% guarantee slam dunk we get him, but it would behoove the staff to make sure they grab this guy and get him.
Yeah.
I would like to have him committed July next year when he can, say yes.
I mean, looking at his list, he has Arkansas, Baylor, Iowa State, Memphis, Oklahoma, State, Texas. He has a lot of offers already.
And those offers those offers are going to skyrocket once people realize, those will get, because he's a 2024 guy, and we just got into 22. So he's got two full more. He's got his junior year and his senior year left.
Yeah.
To really do something special.
I just want to say this, that the McCarty kid, coming back to that, and everything else too. I've seen him play in the state championship game, and everything. And he was, and I'm not kidding you, so electric, and everything, that he almost won them that state title game, that I went to and everything. They literally put it on his shoulders to where I think he got almost 300 rushing yards in that game. That was how electric he was.
Well, no, Joshua Cushman made a good point, talking about this. It's obviously, height, weight, and all that stuff matters at the end of the day.
He's 6'2" and 108.
Yeah.
That was
all that stuff.
I mean, I have never seen somebody that was that tall and everything, but yet he is so swift and, quick at the same time. It was just uncanny.
I am all for getting really good football players, regardless of height, weight, measurables. If you're just a good football player, don't get me wrong, I still want you to go get the LT Overtons of the world if you can. Please get those guys, because you need them to win a championship. But you get those guys and take a flyer at a guy like this, or a Gavin Freeman or something like that. Because you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's still
I'm
a while off, but man, I think the only thing that's going to hold him back is he's showing interest, at least from what I'm looking at. He has interest in it, but he's still only a 3-star. The only ones that are really hard, looking at him is Kansas State and Nebraska. No one else is really looking at him at the moment. But it's probably because he's too far off. Class of 23. He's still another year off.
I also do know, and I've been keeping an eye on this to where, I've been trying to keep my eye on with a Gentry Williams, when it's coming up and everything. That one I'm.
Well, I mean, Arkansas is going to go out, and USC are going to go after him pretty hard. as of right now,
well,
as of right now, I feel okay about him with OU. No, nothing. There's nothing that's popped up that's made me go, "Uh-oh, better be careful." I think for now, I think he's good. I don't expect him to flip anywhere.
Well, and Gavin, I want to bring this up too. I want to bring this up because since y'all are talking about kind of the recap of year 2, Sean and Gavin, is there a player from our recruiting that you're actually surprised that they stuck with us through all the turmoil, through all the stuff that you're actually
Kobe McKenzie?
Really?
Colby,
really?
yeah, I was gonna say Colby would
Because he flipped back. He went to Texas, then he flipped back. That doesn't really happen very often.
Well, didn't you say, Sean, the story behind it was he didn't really want to flip, and then now that they saw who it was, he immediately flipped right back with it? Like, isn't that the story behind it, essentially, why he didn't want to do Texas, but that was kind of his option?
Well, he did his interview, and basically what happened was like he said all Texas talked about for him was money. They talked about NIL stuff. That's all they talked about, and for him personally, it was like, that's great, but you know, how are you guys going to make me? How are you going to be a better football team? So
you brought up that point too, and this is to both of y'all as well. With it, like we're talking about how NIL is being abused because it is being abused. It's not being used as intended, what it's supposed to be. When are the players going to catch up with that? Where it's like the money doesn't mean everything for them. They want to be.
Well, no, the money means everything, but the problem is you can get money anywhere. That's the thing. You're still.
But is it going to progress you to that next level? That's the next thing, because you want to be, you know, in that NFL sort of talent, you know, and everything.
Yeah. Well, and that was my question with it. Like, recruiting's its own monster yet again. Here we are. But yeah, anyway, I was just curious on the question of like who was like the biggest recruit that turned out. And actually, I'm going to flip that as well. With the season over, is there a player that impressed you at the end of the day? Like they were the best out of their 20. That was the 2018 class, so they would be the senior, like a standard one. Was there one that stood out to you that's going to the NFL or anything that like they did their part kind of thing? They surprised you or anything like that as well?
Say that again. Like, say that. What's the question?
So this senior right now would be 2022. So like they would be a freshman. I guess the class of 2018. Was there a player who made it all the way to the end that I guess for this year just show and like they basically were one of the better players of that class?
For 18, I don't know. Like who are we talking about? For I mean, I don't have a. I mean, I guess
I have to look this.
That isn't. I mean. I'll tell you who.
It's an interesting question. I know.
Oh Lord, who's still here?
Caleb Kelly.
No. Turner Yell
Kelly was like 17 or 16.
Oh God, this class did not like the 18 class was not great.
It wasn't. I would say Jalen Redmond. The 18 class had Brian Asamoah, Ronnie Perkins, Nick Benito.
Benito was in that 18 class.
No, what I mean, like certain players, it was a very boom or bust. Like there's very few guys who are just like solid contributor guys. You're either boom or you're bust. Like for,
like I said, that's why
I guess Braden Willis counts as a solid contributor. Patrick Fields, Darren Turner-Yell, Delaren Turner-Yell,
TJ Pledger. He was a contributor.
Yeah, but he's not here.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gone. Like, look, it's like now. If you want to get depressed,
Nick Bonilla was in that class. Nick Bonilla was.
Yeah.
Right, but what I meant was you were either boom or bust. Like, and like we had about 5 or 6 really good players. Like 2019 is kind of depressing when you look at it. When you really stop.
You mean 2018?
No, I'm talking about. Look at the 2019 class. It is a little depressing when you look at it. Kind of
like who stuck around and who was busts and everything.
All right, our top 4 players, our top 4 players for 2019: Jane Hazelwood, Theo Weiss, Trajan Bridges, Spencer Radler.
Weiss is coming back though.
Right, but then you have Woody Washington. Let's see, Stacey Wilkins, David Agwebu, Jeremiah Cordell, Marcus Stripling, Jaden Davis, Marcus Major, Marcus Hicks, Marcus Alexander, Joseph Wette, Jamal Morris, Austin Stogner. I'll give Austin Stogner a boom for sure. Finley Felix, EJ and Agar, Corey Roberson, Ty Diarman. Yeah, that didn't work out. Jonathan Perkins, and Derek Green. Oh, Derek. Ramondre Stevenson. There we go. Way down there as a 5.5 on Rivals. I think he worked out when he was able to play. But yeah, 2019, like I mean, that one hurts a little bit too. Just
because we had all those and the running backs got those.
Yeah, and then 2020 is still too early. I mean, I guess Perrion for sure. Reggie Grimes is working out. Marvin Mims. Rame is starting center. Shane Witters is still developing, but we have a lot of hope for him.
I mean, Marvin Mims was pretty much a boom in that 20. It's been a boom so far in the 20s.
Right. So it's just one of those things where it's like,
recruiting
production has not been the greatest in certain areas, but
yeah. Well, and it's just as we're talking about, it's like, oh yeah, we need to ask this, like, who was the best player? Like, who earned their starting spot? Who was a bust? Like, there's just so much to discuss on it, just so much to recap. But let's wrap it up, guys. We've been at this for an hour, 50 minutes. Let's wrap it up. First, again, I want to thank Nick for joining us. I always enjoy talking with Nick, so it was just a delight to have him on tonight with it. Any final thoughts on the season, Sean? Anything at all?
I'm kind of glad it's over and I can not stress out. I made a decent amount of money this year, but the stress that came with it was not the greatest.
Definitely. Who do you got winning next week, Bama or Georgia?
Could punch myself in the balls for 3 hours. I'd have a better time.
Yeah, but one of them's still going to get a trophy anyway, so you have to pick one.
You know who's winning. You know who's winning. You know who's winning.
Death, taxes, and Bama.
It's inevitable, okay? We know who's winning this thing.
Michigan, no. Gavin, any final thoughts on the season at this point? Anything we didn't cover? Anything really fast?
I'm just gonna take this off season and I'm probably gonna be the sap of all this, but I'm just gonna at least take the off season to just unwind and just enjoy being with my family. That's all I'm gonna just do about, and I'm not gonna worry about football until we get to probably around near July or August. That's kind of what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna unplug from everything about it, from all of it.
Not me. Now. I'm gonna be live streaming and continuing the stuff. For me, I look at it. I'm gonna take the glass half full. We didn't meet the expectations, but there were still gems that we enjoy from the season with it. And again, we can look at the drought. It's still there. We're in the longest streak that we have been with no championship, but at least there was some enjoyable because again, football only comes one time a year for only a couple months. So that being said, guys, I want to thank everybody who's joined live streaming and everything. We're still going to continue it into the off season. There's plenty of stuff to talk about off season, but again, y'all made it really, really special this year. Everybody who commented, everybody who asked questions, everybody who joined us. Hey, I really enjoyed it for that. That all being said, next week, I'm going to be planning a Wednesday live stream. It's not going to be a Sunday. It will be Wednesday because we're going to basically do a part 2 to recap all of college football. And I've already asked some people from some other fan bases to join us, and they've already kind of confirmed with me that they could join us either Wednesday. If all spells, it will be a Sunday one. But plan January 12th, guys, for us to kind of talk and see like what everybody else thought about their team, thought about the college football season as a whole, what can we look forward to. And at this point. So what was that, Gavin?
I was going to say, before I say anything, I forgot to answer your question on who was going to win on January 10th.
Yeah.
You know who's going to win.
I got to stick with Bama. I can't, it's like, unless Kirby Smart can prove me otherwise, you just can't. I just don't want to bet for him. I have to go against him. Sorry.
Nick Saban. That's all you got to say, Nick Saban. So, again, guys, comment, rate, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Again, thank you, Sean, for telling me about that. And, again, I have to give you credit as well, Sean, because when I did my timeline stuff, I had to actually reference some of your videos, like, what am I leaving out? And I left out about 3 things. So, thank you for being such an awesome video maker for me to have all that. So, that being said, guys, again, next week, Wednesday live stream. Otherwise, it will be the normal one, and I will have that up well before to let y'all know. So that's it. This part of the season. So thank you guys for joining. I'll see y'all next week. So Boomer Sooner, only one Oklahoma. Y'all have a good one.
Peace.